It's no secret that Donald Trump has called to build a wall with Mexico. He did that during the campaign. He said, hey, we're going to build a wall between us and Mexico. It's going to be great. It's going to be grand. It's going to be, 10 feet higher. It's going to be a big, beautiful door inside of it. And it's going to be great. And you know who's going to pay for it? Mexico. Mexico's going to pay for that wall, of course. Now, what he didn't tell anybody is that he didn't actually believe that Mexico was actually going to pay for it. It is bullshit. And that has actually been confirmed. And look, this comes from transcripts obtained by the Washington Post of Trump's first call with Mexican President Peña Nieto. Now, apparently he has a few problems with them saying that, hey, man, we're not going to build your stupid wall. We're not going to build the wall. He's like, no. Please, can you build a wall? This call, these transcripts are incredibly sad. In fact, I want to read some of that. He said, you cannot say that to the press. He told Nieto repeatedly about his government's defiance on the wall. Defiance. No, you're the one who's saying you're going to pay for this wall that we're going to build that you don't want. And now you're saying, man, I really wish you would stop saying that you weren't going to pay for the wall. They're not going to pay for the wall. How much clearer do they have to be? But apparently he has to be, they have to continue being very, very clear. And Trump, he's going to be very, very sad about this. And he's going to try to appeal to Nieto by being super sad. He says, you cannot say that to the press. You just can't keep saying that we're not going to build this wall. The press, they're going to run with this. They're going to tear me apart. I can't have that. I cannot live with that. Oh, so sad. He said, he instead said, quote, the funding will work out in the formula somehow. It will come out in the wash, and that's okay. But if you're going to say that Mexico is not going to pay for the wall, then I do not want to meet with you guys anymore because I just cannot live with that. I can't live with it. I can't live with that. I cannot live with the fact that I cannot force you to build a wall that you don't want and don't need. And that most of the American people also do not want or need. Now, he also said, oh, but don't worry, this is very unimportant to me, except for it's super important politically. In fact, quote, politically, this might be the most important thing. So he's like, well, it's not really important, but it's super, super important. Well, which one is it? Either it's really important to you or it's not. But politically, look, he says, I made a promise to my base. They believed me, and now I actually have to try to do something about it. And it is not going well. It's actually sad. It's a disaster, baby. Now, speaking of politics, he says, he told Nieto, on the wall, you and I both have a political problem. My people stand up and say, Mexico will pay for the wall. I wonder who started that. And your people probably say something in a similar but slightly different language. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. But again, look, Mexico does not want to pay for the wall. Come on, man. Very few people in America also want the wall. It actually pulls pretty terribly. It's just a bad, stupid idea. But he says, I have to have Mexico pay for the wall. I have to. I have been talking about it for a 2-year period. Come on, Nieto. I've been talking about this for a while. Well, whose fault is that, dumbass? Come on, man. Again, he's begging and pleading with this guy. Come on, do me a solid and just build the wall for me. Just pay for the wall. We'll build it. It'll be great. In fact, again, he says, we should both say we will work it out. It will work out in the formula somehow, as opposed to saying we will not pay and me saying, well, we will not pay. Well, you know, it'd be great is if nobody paid for the wall. Nobody. Then we wouldn't have a stupid fucking wall. But again, why should Mexico have to work out how to pay for your ridiculous, stupid fucking wall? They are not paying for it. And I sure as fuck as a taxpayer, I don't want to pay for the fucking wall. I don't want to pay for it with my taxes. So how about Trump goes and fucks off with his border wall bullshit? And look, Nieto kind of says that, but in a super, super nice way. In fact, he said that Trump's repeated threats have placed a very big mark on our back, Mr. President. He warned that my position has been, and will continue to be, very firm, saying that Mexico simply cannot pay for the wall. And again, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. Look, again, they're not sending their worst people over the border. They're not sending drugs. They're not sending crime. They're not rapists. Come on. And Trump knows that, but he's going to continue to shamelessly beg. Trump told Peña Nieto that, quote, he knew how to build very inexpensively. Come on, dude, I'm going to make it super cheap for you guys. Super, super cheap. And it'll be nice. In fact, it will be a better wall, and it will look nice, quote. Well, golly, yeah, I guess we're going to pay for it after all. I mean, it looks really nice. And it might even have solar panels, and it might even be transparent. Those are some of his newest ideas on the wall. Ridiculous, man. No. There is absolutely... Notice how there's no incentive here. Now, Trump knows that there's really no incentive for them to build the wall, so he tries to appeal to the drug problem going on in Mexico. He says, we have a massive drug problem where kids are becoming addicted to drugs because the drugs are being sold for less than candy. Really? Less than can't... Come on, man. I find that really, really, really hard to believe. Super hard to believe. Now, get this. He continues by saying, quote, I won New Hampshire because New Hampshire is a drug-infested den. Now, citizens of New Hampshire, I'm sure you're probably not happy about this, okay? So, are you saying that you won this because it's just filled, you know, so many people that are on drugs? The place is filled with drugs, or there's very little context in this. He just randomly brings up, I won it because it's so drug infested. At least work on your phrasing or something. But actually, look, that's not what he's saying. Obviously, he won it because, oh, there's a big drug problem, and there are people in the state that wanted me to solve the drug problem because I actually promised that I would do something about it, even though in all of my budgets, I actually cut aid for people who need addiction services. But oops. And look, another oops is that he didn't win New Hampshire at all. During the general election, at least, New Hampshire went to Hillary Clinton. Yes, he did win it during the Republican primary. Okay, that's fair. But still, calling it a drug-infested den, again, phrasing, right? That's not the way to talk about a state that's actually facing a real problem. Now, do you guys know why drugs come across the border in the first place? It's not because there's no wall. No, it's because there's demand. Look, if you were to, I don't know, legalize and regulate drugs across the federal government, that will actually kill the cartels. It will kill their main source of income. And right now, look, a lot of their money comes from selling drugs to Americans that are hooked on drugs. And, of course, Americans, they sell guns back to the Mexican cartels. So, and that's what Nieto's saying. He actually said in this exchange, look, a lot of our guns, a lot of the cartels, we're fighting them right now. We're in the middle of a giant war fighting against these cartels, and they're killing us. They're killing our soldiers. They're killing our citizens with American weapons. Americans are arming, not the government, but Americans are selling guns and arming the cartels. And the cartels, of course, are getting all that money to buy these guns from the drugs that they sell to Americans. You see why there's this problem? And again, what we're doing right now, doubling down on the drug war, you're actually empowering the cartels. Now, what happened when Colorado legalized marijuana? They actually started to disempower the cartels, and they've had to change some of the drugs that they were selling to Americans. Now, if we do that on a federal level and decriminalize and legalize all drugs and regulate them, then you're going to severely, you're going to severely impair the cartel's ability to be able to buy weapons and to wage war in Mexico. You're going to knock this shit out. Now, that's the way to actually go. But we're not going to go in that direction, of course. What we're going to do is Trump's going to continue to try to push this stupid wall idea, and Jeff Sessions is going to continue the failed drug war. So, I mean, look, how stupid this wall idea is. You got a 10-foot wall, all you need is a 12-foot ladder. Okay? Or you can get a catapult and shoot drugs over the border, okay? Or you could just get in a plane and fly over it. Or you can go around by sea. Look, there's so many ways to defeat a wall. It's ridiculous. But it's nothing more than fake solutions to an actual real problem. One that a giant wall is not going to fix. So, look, you want to solve the drug problem? I know how. I think most people know how. But nobody's listening. Now, finally, he makes another sad, sad pitch. He said, quote, "You and I will always be friends." And says that if they could just resolve their dispute over the border and over trade, quote, "we will almost become the fathers of our country. Almost, not quite, okay." What does that even mean? Seriously. Look, this is so, so sad. Read through the transcript yourself, man. In different parts of it, he's begging, he's pleading. In other parts, he's threatening. Oh, I could do trade and stuff. I mean, it'd be great for, I could do a deal that'd be great for America, but be terrible for Mexico. But I want Mexico to get a great deal. I want it to get a tremendous, fantastic deal. I mean, again, threatening tariffs, threatening to, tax people who send money back to Mexico, all that stuff. All of these ridiculous things, all trying to, make sure that he does the most ridiculous campaign promise that any politician could make. You want to call like, oh, Bernie Sanders so unrealistic for wanting Medicare for all. Well, how is that more ridiculous than saying that we're going to build a wall and we're going to make some other country who doesn't want to pay for it actually pay for it? That's ridiculous. That is so fucking ridiculous. But look, the reason that he wants it so bad is because he knows the press will destroy him if he doesn't get it done. And not just left-wing press. I don't think he's so worried about the CNNs and MSNBCs and the Joe Scarboroughs. Although, yeah, he's actually kind of worried about them too. But he's actually even more worried about right-wing press. For example, you've got Breitbart. If he doesn't get this immigration thing done, they're going to come after him for it. And look, you got people like Ann Coulter that'll also come after him for it. So the reality is that, look, he knows there's no way to get Mexico to pay for the wall. He knew that. He said it anyway. And now he's painted himself back into a political corner that he cannot escape from. And that's the truth of it. If this is the art of the deal, if this is the kind of way that Trump negotiates, we're in for a really tough time. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.